Welcome to the Hollywood Raw YouTube page, guys. We're happy to have you here. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave us comments, do all the stuff.
What are you waiting for? Let's go. I got a drug addiction to feed.
Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast. My name is Adam Glyn. Over there is Dax Holt. I am doing well. Dax, how are you? I know you didn't ask me, but I just tell you.
Dude, I'm doing good. I can't complain. I know you're in your new place, and so it seems like you need a rug or something on the wall because you are just, it's echoey as fuck, yeah. But we're going to go with it. I'm just letting people know that Adam's got zero decor, and we need to get him some decor.
Yeah, I need some sort of mat or something like that. It's everything just echoes, and I got to fix that. We don't have a podcast studio. Obviously, Dax is on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, so it's hard for us to do it in person. What are you watching, by the way? I know we've been talking about it, but are you?
Dude, I'm still watching freaking One Day. You remember how I was kind of telling you how it feels like this show just keeps going and going, and the storyline is weird, and there's no it's these two people where you just want them to be together, but they're not getting together. And I'm on episode 9 or 10 now. And again, I'm still in the same purgatory of nothing's happening. And I don't know why I've just wasted so much time. So this show better start getting really good at the end. If anyone's watched One Day, can you just hit us up on the private Facebook group and let me know if this show is worth watching or if I just need to cut my ties right now and move along with life.
I've been trying to watch this documentary on MoviePass. It's on HBO Max. And did you do MoviePass at all?
Oh, when you'd pay for a month and then you could go as many times as you wanted?
Yeah. Did you ever do that? Yeah. I did it, and it was incredible. It was the best. So I'm watching this documentary on the strategy they're going for and how the buzz on it, and I keep falling asleep during it, but I want to make it through. It's not great, but I just want to make it through because I want to understand the business behind it so much.
I'm just picturing people expecting to come here for a good recommendation on a movie or TV show, and we're just both so I fell asleep and I don't know what the hell is going on in mine. So yeah, come watch our shit.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I'll tell you what. One thing I've been thinking about, Dax, lately, I heard that song by Shabuzi, Pour Me a Drink. Shabuzi. I sent you that song when it first came. I was like, dude, this song's going to be huge. And the song became massive. Obviously, the song is still out now. The song's a hit. But
that song, honestly, biggest song of the summer, I would say. Huge.
Yeah, it's a great song. Song of the summer. I sent it to you in the beginning when it first came out. Yeah. With no substance, just you're yeah, it's a good song, and then you were yeah, this song is great.
I've listened to it. It's been added to my playlist. We told the listeners they need to go listen to it. It's so good. He did not respond to our request to have him on the podcast.
He did not.
Too big, too quick.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, when I was thinking about this guy, I was thinking about Beyonce, how she was going country, and she came out the song. The song was awesome. And oh my God, everyone was talking about Beyonce going country. But ever since the Diddy stuff, we stopped hearing about Beyonce going to go country. It was she's not in the news. She's not in the Google searches. Just nobody talks about Beyonce. And I'm just very curious if this was media strategy because people don't want her to be questioned regarding to what's going on with Diddy or Jay-Z being, kind of connected to that Diddy story that's going on. It's very strange to me how everything kind of just went quiet on her.
I totally agree. I have no idea why she has chosen to kind of pull back when her country album was going crazy. Everyone was been talking about it. It became huge. So it's weird to see a star once the momentum on a new album starts ramping up for them to just kind of disappear for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm curious which we'll never know, if this was just PR strategy and they just needed to kind of not put any stories out there because if she starts to pursue what she is, the country route more, and this is going to be a very big career move for her. I think it's going to do very successful. They just can't have anything interfere with this because there's just so much money behind it, and you have one chance to hit a home run, and you might as well just wait a little bit.
And by the way, shout out to Shabuzi, who was on her album, on the New Country album. That's why I think he has rocket launched so quickly, because he did a song with her on that album.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. Beyonce is just very good at staying out of the public eye when she wants to. Now, granted, anytime a big singer is coming out with someone, a diva, for example, is, they're always some sort of around the interviews, they're always going to be asked about Beyonce. Dolly Parton recently just said that in an interview that she wants to do a duet with Beyonce at the Grammy Awards. Miley Cyrus is in like the new W magazine talking about her relationship with Beyonce. So, but she herself is so good at not being in the outlets. You never see paparazzi photos of her. But that makes me question like J-Lo. Like, how is Beyonce so good at not being in magazines? However, J-Lo is being shot every day and night.
Well, I think J-Lo, like she embraces that side of it, right? Like she knows what she's doing. She clearly, we've said this before, if you don't want to be photographed, if you don't want to be seen and you're a big star, you can make it happen. But I think J-Lo embraces that life and being photographed, going in and out of the gym and going house hunting. And because again, house hunting, that's something that you could hide away from, but she doesn't hide away from it. And so her going out and like, we're all talking about her and Ben. Next thing you know, her and Ben are photographed out, going to a basketball game, going to a graduation, she buys into all this because it works with her celeb status. The second you're out of the magazines, people are less interested in you.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about who we have coming on to this podcast?
No. Yes, we're going to talk about Fred here in a second, but I want to run this video by you because someone in the Facebook group, I believe it was, said like, Dax, stop calling stop calling Britney bizarre or erratic because you're just stooping to like TMZ levels. But here's the thing. I'm not saying that because of anything any outside website is telling me. This is me, in my opinion, watching what is happening. I posted a video in the private Facebook group, off the record. If you're not a part of the Facebook group, go join it. Adam, you said you did not see it. I'm going to play it for you. And I'm going to play it for everyone else. And I want to get your honest opinion. And she is entering a spa. It looks like in Vegas. And I just want you to listen to like how she's talking. And then we're going to have a discussion afterwards. All right. So I'm going to play the video right here.
Hey brother, we're in Vegas and we're going to a spa and we're lost. Hello. I have a scheduled appointment for 4.
Excellent. And today it looks like we have it scheduled at 4 o'clock.
Like we're in like Disneyland for adults. This is like going to a spaceship. Balls. A lot of balls. Hello, balls.
Your spa host whenever we're ready.
We're going to separate. We're going to go. Denise, welcome to Awana Spa.
This is so... I feel like I'm tripping, dude. This is better than Disneyland because it's sexy.
And then at this point, we can't do
That I am just very concerned watching this video, and I love that her brother is there. Let me start off with saying that. I love that her brother is in her life, that a family member is in her life, because that is my thing, is who's watching over Britney, who's trying to make sure that she's got, someone who actually wants her best interest watching over her. But when she starts talking about balls and she's in this weird accent and she's talking about tripping and the whole thing, even in a spa, I feel like there's this unknown or unsaid rule of like, you can't film in a spa, because it's a spa.
In a locker room. Yeah.
In a locker room. But like when you see that, what's your initial response or opinion?
I see a woman blossoming with beauty in her mid 40s and young 40s and just having fun with life. No, I see someone who's going through, there's definitely something going on there. And I say there's definitely, I shouldn't say there's definitely. I'm going to change my wording because I don't want anybody to attack me. But you know how I obviously feel. I'm just doing it to protect myself. Yeah, that's not her tone, the wording. She seems happy, but I don't know if it's medication or not medication. Something of the behavior seems a little erratic. There's another guy in the video. I didn't know if she with a bodyguard too as she walks through. I can't really
No, that was
tell.
her brother. That was her brother when she.
So it's just her and her brother walking around in Vegas.
I mean, granted, I have no idea if there's security behind her or something.
Yeah.
But you know, I just think that, like, for the people that are telling me, like, don't say she's bizarre, I'm sorry. I feel like this very erratic behavior. I'm not judging that opinion on anything I've read. I just watch her and I feel like I've grown up. I used to be the biggest Britney Spears fan because we were about the same age. So I had this massive crush on her growing up. And this is so far from the Britney that I used to watch on stage and watch interviews and being so composed and all of those things that's to me like it's shocking. If I put a Britney back in her toxic days, a video next to this one, I think anyone would say, what the hell is happening right now? Right? Like that's the part that I truly want the best for her. Like at the end of the day, I want what's best for her, but there needs to be some intervention at this point again, unfortunately. And I want her to be happy and free, but I also don't want something terrible to happen because no one is stepping in.
I'm going to change subjects a little bit. I'm going to talk about.
You're like,
I know.
Dax Downer.
Yeah. I'm going with someone else who. This person, they're in the news today because they actually made a point that actually, to me, sounds a little bit valid. However, Cheryl Burke from Dancing with the Stars, she was on our podcast and she wasn't great. She wasn't really that warm to us. She wasn't fun. I forget if we reached out to her, they reached out to us, but she sort of had like an attitude with us. Mm-hmm. How would you describe it, Dax?
She was just cold. She was cold. And I would say that it was pretty fresh off of her divorce with Matthew Lawrence. So I'm going to throw that in there. But I've also heard numerous times that she's cold to a lot of other people when she interviews and talks. And so I don't think that we are an isolated case and we are being assholes for no reason. Like, I truly think she doesn't enjoy interviewing. But my thing is, then don't do interviews. If you don't like it, don't go on, because it leaves a sour taste in an interviewer's mouth.
She's just in a lot of interviews. Now, I don't think she, by any means, she's just going through a tough time. I don't think she has the same sort of conditions or going through the same sort of, everyone has trauma, but has the same thing as Britney. But, you know, she did say something today, well, she said on her podcast that any contestant, celebrity contestant that goes on Dance with the Stars, you should be single before going on the show, because when you work with a pro, and if they're single, you're spending so much time together. There's so much closeness, and you have to work together. Relationships happen from that. So she's telling people, she advises celebrity contestants to be single if they go on the show. I mean, we've seen a lot of relationships come from that recently. Mauricio Mansky, I don't think it was ever confirmed, but there were strong rumors that he was seeing his partner. Nikki Garcia now married her partner.
So that's the funny part, is they're even saying, like, there's been more marriages from Dancing with the Stars than there's been like Bachelor franchise marriage.
Yeah.
Or successful ones at this point. I think that's really funny. And it is telling that you're very close and personal. And I think dancing can be a very sexual, type situation for a lot of people when you're dancing these moves and spending so much time. And so I think what she's saying is a fair point. I mean, how many times have we reported on so-and-so is dating their dancing partner? I mean, at the beginning, I thought it was just good for TV. And then I started to realize, no, I think it's just a good way for people to meet.
Yeah. But so back to Cheryl Burke, though, she made this point. I'm like, she actually makes sort of sense here. And I was like, oh, it's actually an intelligent perspective on Dancing with the Stars that I never thought of. But before that, she was doing some comments, saying some comments, especially about her divorce from Matthew Lawrence. And I'm sure it was very tough for her to go through it. But it was also like tough for us to hear. And she's being very vocal about the thing. So, I'm actually curious where someone like that, she leaves Dancing with the Stars. I think she wanted to be a judge on the show, and I could be wrong on that, and they just said no. Like, how does someone like that make money now? Now, I'm sure she can make money doing dance coaching. She does dance camps and gets paid to do that. But it's been like weird behavior with her. Again, not as much as Britney, but Cheryl before. This actually helps me feel like, okay, she's in the right mind frame right now, because it was a very, healthy perspective. But before that, I was getting like very nervous for her, because it was like everything she was doing felt like she was in a very dark place. Yeah. And understandably so. She was going through a divorce. It was very weird. Dax, do you want to talk about our guest today, though?
Here's the thing. We have been talking Diddy. People are obsessed with the Diddy story. We want to bring in someone that knows more about the Diddy stuff than we do. And so we're going to bring back our friend Fred, who is the founder of Media Takeout. He's the head of Showbiz Cheat Sheet. He is just so entwined in the world of celebrity news. He's a lawyer, entrepreneur. But really to get his opinion on what's happening. They've been breaking stories over there at Media Takeout on Diddy. It just feels like he's first on the beat of Diddy. And so we want to bring him in and just talk about all the questions that we have in our mind. Where the hell is this case going? Why is it stalling out? We haven't really heard any new news over the last couple of days. Diddy's been out walking around. So like, what the hell is happening? And to break it all down for us, we're bringing in Fred. Going to butcher his last name, so I'm not even going to try, because it's 46 letters long. But Fred, welcome back to Hollywood Raw Podcast, buddy.
Fred, thank you again for coming on the podcast. I know you've been really busy working on the Diddy story, as well as everything else that's going on in the entertainment news world. As far as the Diddy story goes, the Diddy saga, the Diddy downfall, how much is not out there that that's going to be coming out there?
Well, I think there's a lot. I mean, one to think about it is this is a federal investigation. They went and raided 2 of his homes. So I think it's fairly safe to say that the feds have everything. They have everything that was videotaped. They have all of his contracts. They've spoken to dozens of witnesses, including those people that have sued him, people that he has been in his employ. So they've got basically everything that they need. And now they're working on putting together a case. I guess the biggest question is we don't know exactly what that case is. We know that the feds went in looking for a sexual trafficking case, but now we're hearing that there may be some RICO possibly involved, which could deal with not only the sex trafficking or alleged sex trafficking crimes, but also some just general possibly even violent crimes.
So are you thinking that we've only seen basically the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Diddy? Because I feel like everyone was talking about him, 2-3 weeks ago. And then it's kind of died down. It slowed down a little bit, where there hasn't been a big case come out from, the government, essentially, even though we saw the raids. Do you think it's just they're building the hell of a case and they're about to hit him over the head with it?
I think that's exactly right. I mean, typically when cases like this come out of the feds, they usually go for a RICO. And for people that don't really understand, it's the type of cases that they use to build against the mob. They basically label an organization a criminal organization. And then once they can do that, they can try any member of that organization for any of the crimes committed by members of the organization. And so I think that it all started with the Cassidy lawsuit and the Lil Rod lawsuit. And I think the majority of the allegations in those were, sex crimes or possible sex crimes allegations. But I can tell you, in kind of the world of hip hop, there were always rumors about Diddy and, some of his parties and some of the stuff that he did and, when behind closed doors. And I think a lot of that was kind of like, innuendo, rumors. No one knew how much of it was true and how much of it wasn't true. But I will say that there's also a second set of rumors that have always been around Diddy. And it was rumors surrounding his violent nature. And I think those rumors, I think there are plenty of people that have seen actions of Diddy that would substantiate those. So, when I heard the Lil Rod lawsuit, there were all the kind of, crazy, behind closed door stuff that may or may, I wasn't able to say whether or not I heard the same rumors that everybody else did, but I didn't see anything. But when you heard about the violence and, and part of what Lil Rod's lawsuit, if you go back and look at it carefully, he mentions all the, the possible sex crimes, but then he also mentions a shooting that occurred inside of a music studio. And he specifically labeled a victim. He specifically told about the place that it occurred. He basically set out the breadcrumbs of a possible violent crime or an alleged violent crime that occurred. And that's going to be very easy for the feds to go back and get. And like I said, if they can link all of that together, that just kind of puts together the soup of a really, really all-encompassing RICO case.
So let me ask you this, Fred. From the beginning, I mean, I didn't know how to defend this when people asked me, and you were a lawyer. You've kind of been around this for a long time. When the investigation happened, when the raid happened at all Diddy's homes, would the feds make that type of raid if they didn't think there were some clues that something actually happened, or were they trying to do it to cover their own asses to say they did a total investigation?
It's hard to know. I mean, you never really can tell and kind of like put the motives on the feds. You do know that, the feds, unlike local law enforcement, tend to move a lot more carefully. They understand that when they do charge someone, that, it gets a lot more press. And so I think the feds are usually very concerned with possibly smearing an innocent person with the stink of a federal investigation. So typically their federal investigations are usually done silently. So when you see them come out there with the show of force, with the number of people that are coming out there, this is not a decision that's taken lightly. This is not some local cop that's just, saying, hey, I'm going to go in there and do it. This is a deliberation that went up the line, possibly up to to Washington, possibly, before you make these decisions. So, we're not clear about whether or not why they did it. I mean, maybe they felt, there are two kind of schools of thought. One is, like you said, that they had a ton of evidence, and this is kind of the last piece that they had to kind of put the case together. There's another line of thought that says that maybe they knew that there was something that was there that maybe they suspected that Diddy was going to be destroying it, or maybe that there was more of a time of the essence type reason for them to go in when they did.
Right.
Whether they go,
sorry, go ahead. I didn't know you were done. I apologize. Keep going.
But whether they went in there for one reason or another, like I said, the amount of people that they sent in there, the fact that they did it and it was so public, the fact that everyone knew that it was happening and helicopters were there, and then the news was tipped off. That just tells me that the feds were not worried for one reason or another about possibly smearing Diddy's name with this investigation.
No, they have to know with someone so high profile that if they go in, they need to really be prepared to back up why they went in, especially because it's going to be on every news site. He's going to go on and talk about it. Like, there's no going back the second you start raiding one house, let alone all of them. Fred, I want to ask you, since you are the founder of Media Takeout, you're deeply involved in all of the entertainment news just like we are. How long have you been hearing these stories about Diddy? I mean, you kind of referenced it a couple minutes ago, but like, is this something that's kind of always been bubbling up and you in the back of your mind has been thinking eventually one day we will start having these stories, or it was just kind of urban legend?
Yeah, with Diddy, I don't think it was urban legend. I think it was kind of like well known. I think, for the most of kind of the public, what the Diddy that I think most of you saw was this guy that seemed like a pretty happy, fun-loving guy that liked to party and, made some music. And he was that, but he definitely had a side of his that was a lot more menacing.
You mean like the one we saw in the hallway of the hotel video?
Yeah. Well, that's clearly, that's with Cassie, so I don't know that we necessarily knew that. But I mean, just there was one time I remember that just kind of stuck out is when, I don't know if you remember, there was a show on Fox called Empire, which was about a music mogul who was basically a gangster, and his former partner went to prison and came out. It had Terrence Howard. And Taraji P. Henson were starting it. And I remember when it first came out, Diddy was really, really upset with Empire coming out. And the reason why he was upset is he believed that the producers and the creators of Empire were actually stealing his life story. He actually, and he said this publicly, he said this on, and I remember him saying that, and I was just like, wow, he was open. That's how open he was about kind of this tough guy that he was behind the scenes. And I think at the time people laughed because they were like, no way is this party guy that wears kind of shiny suits
or wanting to take responsibility for that being their life.
That was the other part of it too, right?
Like mobster style.
Right. And it wasn't like he was actually upset, like visibly upset. He talked about it in the public, and you guys can go look at it. And he was like, they stole my life. This is supposed to be my life, and you just stole it. And, now I think we're getting to see more of the person that he is. I think that's where, like in my view, I know that the sex crimes are obviously serious crimes, and the feds have to investigate them, and they have to get to the bottom of those. And if he's guilty of those, I think they'll get him. But I think his biggest, in my view, his biggest concern would be some of the violent crimes or alleged violent crimes that they could tie to him, because I think that those would be a lot easier to prove.
So Diddy he still keeps up that post that said time tells truth. He actually even allowed the comments on it. I heard that Diddy kind of dropped his PR company. He was working with a PR firm. He dropped the company he's working with. He's not hiding. He's walking around smoking weed. In your perspective, do you think he is seeming remorseful for what he's done, or do you feel like he feels confident that the thing is going to blow over and people will kind of see his side of the story eventually?
Well, I spoke with a ton of people that are close with him, and they all told me that right now he feels that people are kind of making up stuff about him. They're blowing things out of proportion that need be. A lot of people he believes are telling just blatant lies against him, and that there's just an overarching conspiracy to kind of take him down. And he is here just standing up and looking to fight tooth and nail to kind of to vindicate himself on all the things. So that's where he's coming from.
It's like the Black Donald Trump.
Yeah, but I mean, it's you gotta think about it, right? Like, this is a person who grew up in Harlem, and he was a party promoter in the 90s. And his first big party that he threw, it was like a terrible disaster. I think one or two people died during the party. And it was almost like his career was going to be over before it even started. And he beat that. He overcame that. And then he started his, hip hop label. And then there was all kinds of, drama. Eventually, the Notorious B.I.G. was murdered. And then he overcame that, right? And then he was tried with Shine, for allegedly shooting a woman, and then he overcame that. So this is a person who has overcome so many kind of insurmountable obstacles, and has been successful after that. That and it's sort of like Donald Trump in that way. That why wouldn't he think that he could overcome this, given his history, and all the stuff that he's overcome in life?
Is the traffic for Diddy, do you feel like, are people very curious? Like, how is it doing for you guys? Are people really invested into this story in this case?
I think they are. I think it's certainly been one of our best performers over the year. The Diddy stuff is just, if you look at the top 10 stories of the year, 7 of them are Diddy related. And I think it's because it's just so surprising to so many people, right? That it's almost like, I hate to kind of bring this back to almost like the Bill Cosby, right? Like Bill Cosby was like America's dad. And then he turned into like this horrible, like rapist before our very eyes. And it was just difficult for people to kind of get there. And I think that's what's going on with Diddy. I think Diddy was seen as like America's party guy. 5 years ago, the idea of going to a Diddy party was like, could be the highlight of your life, right? Like, oh my God, I went to a Diddy white party. Now the idea of like a Diddy party is like, oh my God, the kind of, depraved stuff that's going on in there. It's just like to see that turnaround from the public. And, it's really, I think it's just kind of like captivating to a lot of people.
Do you think there is any road back for Diddy at this point? Because I always like throwing that question out there. Is there a road back if the things that are being said aren't true? But also, how do you rehab your image once stuff like this comes out and people believe it about you, whether it's true or not?
I think, he'd have to get over his number one case worry is the federal charges. If he can get through that and either not charged or beat those charges, I think you could begin to come back. And then it kind of takes me back to, there are certain people out there that are just, whether they're like cockroaches or whatever, you can't kill them, right? Like they just keep coming back. And you kind of take you back to Trump, right? It's like, how many times has this man been written off? And he just keeps coming back.
Alec Baldwin for me. He's such a big bag every year, and yet he somehow he just shows up on SNL and rehabs his image, and then everyone like moves along. But I guess the last one, not a lot of people are moving, on for. Understandably, it's a much different situation.
Yeah, so it's if he can overcome the federal charges, I have little doubt with the amount of kind of just the overall talent that he has, that he'll make a comeback.
Yeah, I think it's weird. We were talking about this earlier, Fred, that Beyonce has been very quiet lately. Beyonce came out with this country song. It was a huge song. Everyone was doing the dance on TikTok. Everyone's like, oh my God, we're so excited for Beyonce to go country. And then when all this Diddy kind of stuff came out, she kind of went quiet. We haven't really heard much about her. Where does it stand? Like, do you see that are you seeing that a little bit at Beyonce being quiet, and maybe she's being quiet because she doesn't want that connection between her and P. Diddy, so it's best to just stay quiet and get everything out of her mind, like just give it time a little bit till she relaunches?
I mean, I think the connection between Beyonce and P. Diddy is probably pretty tenuous. I think it would be more so the connection between like someone like Jay-Z and Beyonce, and not putting Jay-Z in the same category. The rumors about Jay-Z were nothing like, I've never heard the type of rumors that I've heard about Jay-Z that I did about Diddy. But you just, when something this big is going on, you just have to really kind of probably stay a little bit quiet, unless you're 50 Cent. And then
I don't understand why. She's got her own thing going on. Why would she disappear? Like, she has nothing to do with Diddy and everything going on. So
I'll give you an example. So I know before I came, I've been in the entertainment world for now 20-ish years. Before that, I was in corporate. And I remember when I first came into the entertainment world, the one thing that kind of struck me, and you guys are in the entertainment world too, so maybe you can talk on this also. What struck me is just the lack of kind of HR that was there, right? Like the way that you would see men talk to women and like the office dynamics, it was actually appalling to me when I was there. And I was just like, I can't believe that you talk to people like this. Men are allowed to talk to women like this, or that this is acceptable. And it was so striking that like we would have to like internally at Media Takeout, we were like, we're going to create a completely different culture where, I don't know where you were before or what kind of stuff you were doing before, but none of that nonsense is going on where we are. And we built a culture around it. And we were very different than I think a lot of companies out there. And so when you're talking about people that were around in the 2000s and they were involved in record labels and ran companies and ran stuff like this, I think you'll find that there is a lot of kind of similar type behavior in each of these companies. And so if you were around in the 2000s, you probably do want to keep your mouth shut because, while I'm not saying anything specific about any individual person, but that the companies that they were associated with, there may be a lot of stories to be told. And so when all this is going on, I think, there's probably a good number of people that are probably a little bit nervous about, they know what the environment was
What
like.
the collateral damage of Diddy going down is.
Yeah, they know what the environment was. So it's,
So I've got something that literally just popped into my mind that I didn't plan on asking you, so I hope it's all good. But Eminem, his new song, getting a lot of flack for the Megan Thee Stallion reference in there, which some people are like, dude, he's literally saying that he wants to have a feature with Megan Thee Stallion. Other people saying it's a hard diss because she got shot in the foot. Right. Where do you stand? What is your thoughts on Eminem and his Houdini song and all of it?
Can anyone really be mad at Eminem for trolling, right? Like, he is like the king of trolls. He's been doing this for 20 years, and now you're upset that he's, oh my God, I can't believe Eminem said that, right? Like, has anyone ever said that before? I think it was lighthearted. I don't know that he means anything by most of the stuff. He's done it to everybody. So Meg, you're in a very elite club that have been trolled by Eminem on a song.
Is if she shows up on the record. After all of this, after all the people freaking out about it, and she does end up having a feature or something at some point in their careers, I think would be hilarious turn of events here, because he's collabed with everyone. He's done songs with Pink, he's done songs with Rihanna, he's just done it with everyone.
And the thing is, he doesn't mean anything by it, right? Like, he's just kind of it's just a play with words, and he's just kind of trying to be funny. He doesn't mean anything by it.
Dude, Fred, people just want to be mad about anything at this point. I think what the funniest comments were people just being like, and Gen Z has finally discovered Eminem. They don't know what to expect. Like, this is his whole persona. Slim Shady is you like do these super smart lyrical discs here and there, and you tie it in so well that people love that about him.
Right. I thought it was great, and I think the idea of Eminem coming back, I think it's definitely this is a resurgence of hip hop. First Drake and Kendrick, now you got Eminem back, so I think we're in good shape.
Fred, who is the person that you guys sort of will always kind of do stories on? The person that readers, the audience will always click on, that brings in traffic to the site?
I think it changes, right? So now that Diddy is kind of in the midst of this, I think Diddy is probably the person for us. Before that, there was Drake and Kendrick, and so that was kind of that was that. Before that, maybe it was Meg, and I don't know. It changes, and it's not like it was before. So I'd say like 4 or 5 years ago, it used to be like, oh, you just put up Kim Kardashian or Rihanna, and you got something. It just doesn't. I think the world is a little bit different right now. There's a lot more people, and you just have to be able to kind of move from one person to another. Now, luckily, these celebrities keep doing crazy things, and so that keeps us in business, and we're able to constantly find stuff.
So my last question for you before we go. Last time you were on, we asked, who do we keep an eye out? Who is going to be the next big star? Do you remember who you said?
I think I said Doja Cat.
You did say Doja Cat.
Okay,
and I gotta say, you were right. I mean, everywhere I look, it's all about Doja Cat. People love her. She's so weird, and it is so fascinating. Do you have another person we should be watching out for?
I do. So, and I should know her name. It's slipped my mind. The South African singer that sings that song "Water."
Kyla.
Yeah, I just saw her like recently, and she.
I know. I should know the name and whatever.
It's like Kyla, no? It's
Kyla.
It's one word.
Tyla.
Yeah. So I can say with 100% certainty that within a year she's probably going to be the biggest star in the world. Not 100% certainty. I'd say 95% certainty. And I think most people are saying, well, maybe that's going to be the case. Maybe it's not. She's 100% or 99% of the way going to be there. She's got everything. She's got star quality. That's it. Of the people that are out here right now, she's it.
Love it. Well, Fred, thank you so much for joining us. We love having you on. I feel like you, especially, you bring such knowledge when it comes to like this Diddy case. Hopefully we can hit you up again over the next couple of weeks, especially if the feds end up releasing anything or any charges get brought against him. I'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, like I said, I expect that something's going to happen. They impaneled a grand jury, so there's going to be either a indictment or non-indictment, and so I think there'll be plenty more to talk about on that. And plenty more Tyler to talk about too.
Exactly. We'll bring you back on and talk about her as well. But guys, definitely follow Fred. I mean, founder of Media Takeout, head of Showbiz Cheat Sheet, massive entrepreneur. Where can people find you on socials?
I'm not really on socials. I'm one of the rare people that just kind of, if you want to find me, you can go
follow him on his websites. Then.
Yeah, I'm on Cheat Sheet or cheatsheet.com or mediatakeout.com.
Or LinkedIn.
Follow
him on LinkedIn. We've never said that before on this show. Follow him on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I love it. Well,
Fred, thank you so much, man. Thanks for taking the time.
All right, guys. Anytime.
Thanks, bud.
Bye.
All good? Anything you need to edit out, change?
I think it was great.
Perfect, dude. Really appreciate it, Fred. Thank you. And yeah, if you don't mind, I'll hit up Vivian. We'll kind of come back and kind of have you keep following along with us, and kind of you're great at humanizing it and making it just sort of just understanding it, because you can read about it, but you do a great job explaining. So thanks again for taking the time.
Okay. All right, guys. Anytime.
Thanks, Fred. Okay. Love talking to Fred. Very interesting guy. He's a lawyer. He's good at explaining it. But it's cool to talk to someone who actually sees what people are clicking on. He sees what stories people are gravitating to.
But he's always been that guy who's like literally on the pulse of entertainment. It was like the fact that he had called out the Doja Cat thing, and that was like years ago for us at this point. But he knew back then, like, she is really going to be a big, big star. That's what I love about him. I also want to ask, did you see the video of Jason Sudeikis basically asking Travis Kelce when you're going to put a ring on it?
I did. Was that thoughts on that? Okay, is that so rude of a guy to do? Put him on the spot, or is he?
I think he's obviously
like everyone else's.
He's doing it because he wants to have listeners, right? Like he wants to have people excited and talking about the moment. But I felt like it probably wasn't the moment to do it, right? I mean, this is all basically what happened. There was Jason Sudeikis, Robert Smigel, George Wendt. They were performing a skit at the Big Slick Celebrity Weekend in Kansas City. And Sudeikis was in disguise. He had this like fake mustache and sunglasses on. So, you wouldn't know it's him, even though it's Jason Sudeikis. And he was sitting at the table with the guys, and, he asked him when he was going to put a ring on it. I get it. It's funny. It's a joke. But I also feel like there's such a serious side to it that's not the moment. Like, I don't think that Travis Kelce wants that kind of pressure from people. And then you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you're like, no, I don't want to, people are like, oh my God, he doesn't want to get married. And if you're like, yes, I do want to, well, now you're kind of ruining a surprise. It's just, I feel like all around, it just made me feel awkward because I could tell he was awkward in the situation.
Yeah, no, it was a joke. I don't think Jason thought of that thoroughly because it's a no-win situation for Travis Kelce. Even if he tried to make a joke about it, like it's just, the way headlines could come from it, it just wasn't worth it for him.
And I have to say, Travis handles all of this media attention like a pro. He really does. He knows how private Taylor is. And I don't feel like there's been any major F-ups on his part when it comes to, because everything he does, people question him about her. And I don't feel like he's leaked anything or said anything on his own podcast during the Super Bowl when he was doing all the press stuff. He hasn't said anything that puts his foot in his mouth. And I commend him for that, because it is so easy, especially when you have a podcast, to say something messed up and go, shit, I shouldn't have said that, and jeopardize his relationship.
I'm actually surprised that he hasn't done that yet. I'm not, that's not bad mouthing him. It's just the way You're bombarded the way for everything you do. He hasn't done anything that could turn it a little bit sideways. In fact, he seems like the guy who's enjoying it, but not enjoying it too much. Yes, has he been kind of getting opportunities that he might have not have gotten beforehand from doing it? Yes. However, he's not doing it distastefully. Yeah, that's entertainment. He's not also doing it distastefully too, and everything he does as far as attention. I mean, recently he had his Kelsey Jam, which is like a concert festival. He did that before he dated Taylor Swift, and I like that he's still doing it even after he's dating Taylor Swift. I think
so
he's
you said months and months ago you thought it was a publicity stunt. You still think it's a publicity stunt?
No. I think it's two people who like each other, understand each other's positions, and also understand how they sort of yin and yang each other, how they sort of benefit each other in ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very beneficial relationship.
I love it. I don't know why.
It's not competitive. It's not competitive. It's they could actually are working together. I think it's very, very nice to see.
I'm so weirded out how fangirling out I am over this relationship, and I have since the beginning, and I don't know why. I literally don't care about celebrity relationships. Why I've gravitated to this one, I have no idea, but I love it. Anyway, thank you guys for checking out the podcast today. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter or X, whatever the hell they're calling it these days. Make sure you're subscribed on our YouTube channel if you watch this video over there. And then, make sure you follow both Adam and I on social media. He is at Adam Glyn. I am at Dax Holt. I'm going to be out for a little while. So, Adam, good luck.
Thank you, Dax.
Hold down the fort. I'm going on vacation, so Adam will be coming out with some good content over the next couple weeks, and I will see you guys then. So when I get back, all right, later.
See ya.
What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on, let's go.